Welcome back to Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, the websites by Plebs or Plebs. Drop us a like, subscribe. Joining us today, fellow toxic Bitcoiner Frito2X. And yeah, you know where we're going. It's number time. Let's do it.
Number time!
At the time of this recording, the block height is 699,686. The Bitcoin price, 46,635. Chain rewrite days, 872. Total public lightning capacity, 2,405.36. Sats per dollar, 2,144. And blocks to the halvening, 140,314. It's a new all-time high on the public capacity,
bro.
Come on, 95K away, man, from the our we're unveiling our sound, right?
95K, 95.
Sorry, 95. I'm sorry.
95 Bitcoin, and we get our new lightning all-time high sound, which I know a lot of you guys been waiting for. We announced it like 20 years ago in Bitcoin time, because everything's sped up in Bitcoin time. But we're very excited because it's going to be a very special sound. But man, I'm going to stick by what I said yesterday, Phil. When Bitcoin is going sideways, when it's going down, that's when the Lightning Network grows the most. When it's going up, man, the Lightning Network's stuck in time. So, you know, whether the price is going up or down, it's always a good day for Bitcoin because something else is going up.
You know what? Wise words from Nico. I like that.
Maybe we're completely wrong, but I don't know. You start to do this every day. You start to see patterns. Maybe it's a pattern that isn't there and that we see it. I don't know. We'll stay on top of it. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. All right, everyone. We've got two fails today. One of them is just a confused shitcoiner. Another one is a no-coiner pretending to be a shitcoiner that's really a spook. But we're going to start off first with this gentleman here, who, if you've been in Bitcoin for a while, you know this. You know this profile. This profile writes a lot of nonsense, and they write it very well. You know, I gotta give kudos, right? He writes some very, intelligent sounding sentences, but unfortunately, as you're gonna see, the message is a little wonky. All right, here we go. So, BTC is built on rotten foundations without a long-term security budget, without meaningful utility, without good governance. BTC is doomed to be relegated to history as the experiment that led the way towards ETH. I want you to just remember he said ETH, okay? Go back in time to July 12th. Ethereum is everything that I hoped Bitcoin would become, from smart contracts, which Bitcoin does support, and scaling, which Bitcoin actually does. And it's interesting because Vitalik has actually said that Ethereum doesn't scale and has problems with scalability. Anyways, I digress. Creative innovation has been unleashed. BTC failed to sustain that spirit. I wonder how he measures the spirit that he's talking about, the metrics that he's using. Anyways, for reasons primarily anthropological. Well, that sounds intelligent. Checks my box. Anyways, fortunately, the Bitcoin spirit still thrives in ETH today. Again, managed to figure out the measurement, applied it to ETH. This is fantastic. This is great. I like how he does that. All right, July 12th, right? That was July 12th, guys. Okay, so now we're going back to December 3rd. Ethereum is clearly better than Bitcoin in every way. Better money, right? Even though it has no hard cap and no way to tell the current supply. And as we know, 70% pre-mined and Ethereum Foundation. Okay. Better finance supporting all services that are required for money through DeFi. I mean, do I need to bring up the Rec leaderboard and the other, the other websites that shows the 44,000 token hacks and fails throughout the year? That have happened since the beginning. Okay. Anyways, better store of value with lower inflation and long-term security. Like, this is just insane, confused nonsense. All the things I just mentioned before, plus the fact that it has no hard cap. So this nonsense about lower inflation and long-term security, that's ridiculous. Amazon Web Services. Anyways, I digress, right? Because we're picking apart every single piece here. All unlike Bitcoin. So remember, he's talking about ETH, right? December 3rd, it's ETH. ETH's the winner. Oh, wait a second. But before ETH, if we go back, Justin was a B-trasher. Justin loved B-Trash. That's all he talked about. BCH has the most legitimate claim to the Bitcoin name. As a grassroots movement from Genesis, it has kept the vision alive, finding balance between extremes and evolving while keeping the founding principles at heart. Old and new, these people are Bitcoiners supporting Bcash. Guys, it's so brutal. This guy is such a confused shitcoiner. He was shilling Bcash. When I first got onto Twitter, that's all he would talk about is Bcash. And now all of a sudden, it's Ethereum. He is one of the most confused shitcoiners I've ever seen. And the reason why you have to be careful is because he uses big words, so he sounds intelligent. But what he's saying is complete nonsense, and everything can be debunked. He'll never respond to anything. So, anyways, it's funny stuff. That's the first one.
Ooh.
Nico?
It kind of sounds like Ethereum is Satoshi's vision. So Ethereum was a fork of Ethereum Classic, so now they have to make ESV now, right?
Well, it's Satoshi. So ESV? No, EVV. Ethereum Vitalik's vision.
Right.
No, but yeah, man. Look, oh man, Phil, that was a pleasure. Dude, listen. You have so much of these people on Twitter. You know, usually in the bios, there's giveaways. You know, either they put like a PhD, they put an expert. Sometimes it's the pronouns, right? The pronouns give away a lot. And dude, look, it's shitcoinery. It's all the shitcoinery. And look, this guy has something against Bitcoin. He felt like he didn't get in at the right time. Total misconception, by the way, because if you still buy Bitcoin today, you're early, and you would understand that because look, if you're buying Bitcoin just for number go up technology, it's actually extremely difficult to hold, right? And if you're buying Bitcoin to get rich, it's also extremely difficult to hold, and you also feel like you're missing out, right? But if you're buying Bitcoin for the sovereignty and for the freedom, which only Bitcoin could provide, then it becomes much easier to hold because it actually becomes a lot harder to have any fiat whatsoever because you understand what that fiat represents. You know what that fiat is, right? So clearly, you know, my money on this guy is that, dude, he feels like he didn't buy Bitcoin early. And, you know, the unit bias, you know, he said he sees Bitcoin Cash, he sees Ethereum. He's like, I could own more of Ethereum. I can own more of Bitcoin Cash, where he doesn't realize they're not the same. You're holding something that is, to use Michael Saylor's words, thermodynamically inferior. What does that mean? That means that it has less hash rate, it has less energy backing up those networks, meaning that they cannot successfully withstand a nation state attack. And the end stage of this, guys, is to destroy central banks and to separate the state from money, of which no shitcoin could do, and only Bitcoin can. Again, this guy seems like a trader. This guy, not like a trader, but like a trader as in like, oh, I'm gonna buy high and sell low type of guy, you know. And unfortunately, you know, I feel like that unit bias is really getting under his skin, dude. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up. What does our guest think, Frito?
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for having me on. I'm a huge fan. It's really an honor. I think what you guys do is amazing.
It's bro, the honor is ours, bro.
Yes,
as soon
exactly.
as Phil told me, he's like, dude, you got Frito coming. I'm like, hell yeah, why are you asking me? Just invite him. What are you doing? So the pleasure's all ours, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. But as far as like the altcoin lie, I think it's that, you know, when you dig down into it, you're looking at like the function of money, you know, and, you know, I'm going back to Breedlove times, but we're talking about, you know, store of value and means of exchange and unit of account. And I think the altcoin lie is that you need different electronic tokens or different technologies to meet those functions. And ultimately, I think that Bitcoin is kind of obviously the best store of value, like the most secure thing. And when you build on top of it, you can meet the function of means of exchange and store and unit of account. Eventually, we're not there yet because the rails aren't in place yet. But to think that you're going to be able to build those things better on a less stable foundation, I think is the fallacy. But that's the lie that people like that are propagating.
Absolutely. Phil, what's the second fail, my friend? What is it?
All right. Get ready, get ready. Here we go. This is the no coiner parading around as a shit coiner that's really a spook. Here we go. You guys might remember this fail, okay? From I think it was last week or the week before, right? This this was the person that thought you could be wearing an NFT as a ring, right? Instead of a diamond. Here, we'll talk about it in a second. Here we go. You guys will remember this. If you make an NFT of a real diamond and the diamond itself gets destroyed in a fire tomorrow, you still have the same asset because the token still exists and is in limited supply just as before. Nothing has changed. What NFT is doing to the concept of asset, few understand. All right, let's pay attention who that's coming from, right? All right. I write about investment, macro, and humanity's future. PhD in macro shitcoining. Founder of some shitcoining thing. Creator. What destroyed diamond NFT? Okay.
Wait. What did I say about the PhD in the bio? What did I say, dude? It never fails.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, but creator of some NFT shitcoin. But anyways, that's not even the fail, okay? I just want you guys to pay attention, right? Pay attention to that bio. Pay attention to what they said. We're going to move on to their next tweet. Bitcoin fails as a money because of its naive monetary policy. Many people think government printing too much is evil, so a fixed money supply must be good. The reality, a money that cannot expand would crush the economy and put us all into poverty. Here's why and how to fix it. All right, let's pay attention to that. What's this? From a Robertus. Consider all her tweets a direct attack on Bitcoin. F off. Take a look at that. Now you might say, that's fake, but actually go to the IMF blog website, right? We like to bring the receipts. Natasha Che is currently an economist for Paraguay and Uruguay in the Western Hemisphere Department. Her fund work has been mostly on emerging market countries.
So she's a slave owner.
Really? Bitcoin fails as a money. Many people think government printing too much is evil.
Here's why and how to fix it.
You tell me more. Please, tell us more about why money that isn't robbing us of our time and value is bad for us, IMF plant. Please,
you have a blue check mark?
We're interested.
You have a blue check mark. Does she have a blue check mark?
Dude, I mean, are you kidding me? These people suck. Like that's ridiculous. Like you are a plant and you're going to sit there and dump on Bitcoin, and on top of that you're going to shill the most ultra garbage that there is right now. Like this is, I don't even know what to say. I mean, like that is just despicable times 3. Like that's all that is.
Dude, dude, she literally works for the enemy. And she's like, yeah, I'm new to Bitcoin and I'm here to fix it, and oh man, I hate that attitude. But look, here's the thing, bro. Okay. The worst part about this is that so those emerging markets, right? I think I saw Uruguay or something, are the ones that need Bitcoin the most, right?
That's right. And they're going to give them shitty fiat.
So, they're giving them more of the currency, which caused a significant portion of their problems in the first place. But at the same time, I could understand why she is the way she is. Could you imagine kissing the ring to get all the way to the top just for some shit posters and, meme creators on Twitter to just completely wreck her, because at the end of the day, we don't have to take ourselves so seriously. We don't have to kiss any rings because we have a better money, and Bitcoin is that better money, right? So Bitcoin speaks for us because Bitcoin is the truth. And she has to, she needs the blue check mark. She needs to put the PhD. She needs to, check all the boxes because that's how things work in the fiat world. And clearly she's not understanding that we're migrating to a world where all of those things are irrelevant. It's about the value that you provide, and it's about whether you're telling the truth or not, right? So again, I think this is just, a remnant of the fiat world. But man, I feel bad because at the same time, Phil, she could be really dangerous because, she has all those bells and whistles and she goes to those countries, unfortunately, some people are going to buy into that garbage. You know, they're going to buy into, you know, because we know the IMF, what they do, and we've talked about it many times on this show, is that they give predatory loans in which they know that those countries cannot pay back, right? So, man, I hope she gets that NFT diamond ring, okay? That's all I got to say. What about you, Frito? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, NFTs are just silly. There's like no work going on with that. But it's just a shame that that kind of propaganda works for so many people and convinces them to work, you know, against their own self-interests. And I mean, you and I are, well, the three of us are kind of like in this minority that look at that and obviously thinks it's wrong. But there's like a lot of smart people around me that believe that. And it's got to be worse in third world countries where they don't have access to your show, say on YouTube, you know. So it's just sad that that still works so well.
Absolutely, man. It's sad, but there is some bright side. There's a bright side on this, right? Is that Natasha and I think his name is Brendan or something like that? They are both going to have fun staying poor, you know, because that's how Bitcoin works. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review, sponsored by
Citadel 21.
All right, everybody, this meme for today is brought to us by a meme lord, RD_BTC. Definitely give him a follow for some epic memes. He's part of the crew that came up with Laser Ray until 100K. Anyways, let's check out the meme. Fiat money, proof of stake. Corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture and this picture. They're the same. Amazing meme. Let's move on. I brought two today because we had a very special guest. Let's check out this meme by Lena Sish. Anyways,
I'm already
check
excited because
she makes
brings
some
the
amazing
fire.
Memes. I know,
the
dude.
Fire.
Look at this. It's all drawn. Son, this is where our money came from. That's mine. This is what our money used to be backed by. Gold mine. This is how our money was stolen from us. And this, son, is how Bitcoin fixed it. It's a bunch of Bitcoin miners and a freaking volcano. Wow, an El Salvador flag. Lena Sish coming in with the epic meme. And because those are some epic memes, I'm going to give it a strawberry smoothie.
Man.
What about you, Phil?
That is a refreshing score.
So refreshing.
Refreshing indeed. Okay, well, you know what? I loved both of those memes. I thought they were awesome. And for that, I am giving it, I don't think I've given this yet, but this is essentially a Skytech mini TV from the 80s that I gutted and turned into a Bitcoin, a Lightning node.
Wow.
Yep.
Bro!
That was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago when I was much more adventurous. And I wanted to turn everything into a node.
Didn't you show me that when I visited?
You know.
I feel betrayed right now, guys. Okay, anyways. Frito, before I get upset, what would you give that meme?
Well, it's going to be hard to keep up with you guys, but I got a poncho for it because it only costs a few thousand sats and it keeps you warm and dry.
Bro.
That's a Bitcoiner score right there. Look at that.
Dude.
Economical and practical.
A node that became, an old TV from the 80s that Phil never showed me, that became a node, strawberry smoothie, and a poncho. Bro, so many freaking possibilities. I'm putting it together in my head. It's fucking
pretty
crazy.
epic.
You could put the poncho on the TV, and you could put the straw in the TV's TV, and it could look like it's a TV with the poncho sipping the thing. Anyways. Maybe.
These are official scores, Nico.
Official, dude. Official. And if you guys knew the rating system, you would know how official they are.
That's right.
But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
The context here is the focus, the appropriate focus on the question of grocery prices and the increase in grocery prices that we have seen recently over the last couple of months. And if we unpack that, one of the interesting findings of the report that we put out today is that about half of the overall increase in grocery prices can be attributed to a significant increase in prices in three products, in beef, in pork, and in poultry. And in beef and in pork, we've seen double-digit increases in prices over the last couple of months. In fact, if you look at the category that is grocery prices, what economists call food at home, so food that is being purchased to eat at home, in a number of areas we've seen, if you take out those three categories, we've actually seen price increases that are more in line with historical norms. And we've seen some categories, for example, fresh fruits and vegetables prices have actually declined since the end of last year.
Okay. Guys, do you remember the propaganda piece that we showed you on the 4th of July and how the 4th of July, your 4th of July grocery list is actually lower than the years before? What happened now? Well, what happened now is that they could no longer hide it. Can't hide it anymore. Inflation has become so apparent. And here's the thing about beef and chicken, that's what poultry is basically, and pork. What else are you going to eat, bro? That's literally what Americans eat.
Nico, you don't fix the issue, you fix the data. See, so if you take out the data that makes it look like things are terrible, then things are okay. And the other thing, which is really insane, right? I know that tinfoil hat time. Think of how much push there is to go away from meat products. And again, I'm not a total carnivore or anything like that. I don't subscribe to the 100% carnivore diet or anything like that. But I'm just saying, in terms of the narratives, there's a massive push to get away from those foods and to get over to the quote-unquote healthy grains.
Hey,
right?
remember,
all those, yeah.
They want you eating bugs.
Yeah, don't forget that. But bugs are high in protein, Nico. Pay attention.
Build back
We
better.
could all just be eating bugs instead of beef.
Build back better. Eat those bugs.
I'm excited to live in my pod forever.
Listen, the Matrix, I know, right? The Matrix is falling apart. They can no longer hide it, right? Now they're starting to admit it. Remember, months ago they said, quote, there will be no inflation or minimal inflation. Now we've gotten to the point, right? 4th of July passed. They tried to release the propaganda. Obviously didn't work. Things are getting progressively worse, to the point that even our favorite mainstream media propaganda arms, right, are starting to try to tell you that this is a good thing. Inflation is popping from Sydney to San Francisco. It may be a good sign. Inflation... I'm sorry, I laugh because it's just hilarious. Inflation has surged across advanced economies. The shared experience underlines that price gains come from temporary drivers. There it is again, temporary. We've been hearing that word for like almost 2 years now, Phil. It's a very...
Temporary can be very long, Nico. Like, it can last forever.
It's
okay?
It's those exact words that Richard Nixon used when he took us off the gold standard. He said that he was going to do it for a temporary period of time, right? Look how that ended out. We're 50 years later. Still, is that the temporary they're talking about? I don't know. Anyways, the article goes on to say the spike has become a source of annoyance. This is you peasants. I know it's annoying, you peasants. The spike has become a source of annoyance among consumers and worry among policymakers who are concerned that the rapid price gains might last. Maybe they're right. I don't know. It is one of the main factors central bankers are looking at as they decide when and how quickly to return monetary policy to normal. Now, that's the scam. We've showed you many times. They cannot taper off. They cannot stop printing money at the rate they're printing without the whole stock market collapsing, right? Again, this is propaganda. If you don't believe us, watch our previous episodes. We've been covering this diligently for last year. Me and Phil are not economists. We're Bitcoiners, and it's very simple math for us. If you're going to print money into oblivion, what's going to happen? You're going to debase the money, and the rest of people's money is going to lose value, right? Causes more wealth inequality, the Cantillon effect, right? The people that benefit from the money printing the most are the people at the top of the money spigot, and the ones that least benefit from the money printing are people that don't save in equities. They don't save in real estate. They save in cash. So basically 45% of the population. Anyways, most policymakers believe that today's rapid inflation will fade. This line we've been reading, they've been saying this for a year. And it's like they just look, now they're incepting you with this idea that inflation may be a good sign. Do you see what's going on here, Phil? The matrix is breaking. They're having to start to admit it, right? And you pointed out something really interesting, right? It's awfully convenient that the things that the World Economic Forum, the Build Back Better guys, all of a sudden those foods are the ones, staying at the same prices. Oh, look at that. There's no conspiracies, but there's also no coincidences. And, if you don't have Bitcoin and you haven't taken the orange pill, guess what? You might have to eat some bugs very soon. Phil?
Nico, it just fades. These price increases, that they're just going to fade, right? Like all of a sudden, everything is just going to. So somehow, the fact that the chocolate bars that I had as a child are now smaller and the ingredients that they use are crappier, that's just going to switch right back. It's going to switch right back to better quality and a bigger bar, And it's the same thing with beef and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure that people got a bigger cut of beef for a lot less money back in the day, and I think they're getting a lot less, significantly less. So it's really interesting, right, that they're putting together. But I find it so fascinating that there's a huge push, even on mainstream media. If you're watching commercials, they're pushing all this crap like imperfect foods, like essentially getting you to eat shit that's like almost rotten, or something that's like, there's nothing wrong with the food. Okay, but you just couldn't sell it, so you made a business out of selling it. Good job. Hey, again, no offense to the people that are enjoying imperfect foods, to each their own, but I just think that that's a giant scam, because at a time where all of a sudden everything is crappier, this company comes along and starts selling you something crappier. It's just not a coincidence. Anyways, this is just ridiculous. It's like you said, the matrix is breaking. It's all falling apart. They don't even know what to do anymore. They're throwing everything that they can at the wall to see what sticks, and they're hoping that we're all dumb enough and tired enough to just go along.
Man, it's absolutely hilarious. And remember, guys, remember the plan. Build back better. It's 2030. You owe nothing. Eat bugs and be happy. What do you think, Frito? Are we conspiracy theorists here? Listen, a couple months ago, I started to feel bad, and I would talk to Phil. I would say, listen, bro, like, we're conspiracy theory. But then we started getting proven right time after time, months later down the road. So now I have no shame, bro. These people are fucking liars. What do you think, Frito?
Yeah. I think it's happening, and I think deep down we all know it. I think a lot of people are probably going to be like apologists for it, because they're almost like the people that missed the Bitcoin boat, and they're saying, well, this other token's not so bad. This is good too. So a lot of people might just accept this, but when they print money to solve problems, they're going to create more problems, which only results in them having to print more money. So I think we've crossed that event horizon, and we're all seeing it. And it's happening rapidly. Today, I talked to a guy who owns a really nice restaurant, really reasonable guy. And he's having trouble with supply chains. It's expensive for him to source meat. Employers, he's got reduced people in his store. I asked him what the true price would be for him to like break even on a filet mignon. And he told me that it would cost him about $60. So they took it off the menu because people aren't going to be willing to pay it because their income's not going up proportionally. So now at this nice restaurant, they've got like a strip loin, but they don't have filet, and that's part of the shrinkflation that's going on, even at your nicer places. So, we're seeing it, and it's happening fast.
Yeah, man, and it's a shame, bro, and it's a shame. And look, the only way out, and we keep reiterating this, right, is taking sovereignty back into your hands. And in the process of doing so, you're defunding them in the process. So they can't do this again, right? That's what Bitcoin allows. It allows the separation of money from state. In the process, you're destroying the fiat system. You're destroying the ability of the government to just press that P key and just pay for everything, man. And we know it doesn't work, right? But anyways, okay. So there's another we told you so moment from Simply Bitcoin, right? We said, on yesterday's episode, coincidentally before this came out, that governments are going to go after the lowest hanging fruit because they can. Check out this article from Bloomberg. Coinbase gets Wells notice from the SEC on lend product. Exchange said it's been proactively engaging with the SEC. Now, here's the thing, right? Bitcoin and shitcoins, but specifically more Bitcoin because it's the only one that can't be attacked by the state. Shitcoins are still taking power away from the traditional legacy fiat system, right? So, and we've read you an article, it was 2 days ago, about how all these banks are freaking out. So they're approaching their buddies in DC and saying, hey, guys, you should do something about it. Now, here's the thing. If the government could shut it down, they will shut it down. And this is exactly what's happening. And we've been saying this was going to happen for months now. And you know what's next? All of DeFi. All the shitcoins that are not sufficiently decentralized, which is all of them, right? Governments will shut it down. I think it was Satoshi that even said himself, governments are very good at shutting down centralized entities, but they're not good at shutting decentralized entities. The only thing that is sufficiently decentralized is Bitcoin, right? Anyways, and I know a lot of people in the comments sometimes are like, toxic maximalism is not good for you. This is why we're toxic maximalists, because we know this. We did the research. We've been doing this, Phil and I, for almost 6 years now. We've been staying at this steady. You know, we learned the hard way. Anyways, look, this is even sketchier, Phil. The SEC asked for names of everyone on the wait list. Dude,
Yeah.
the writing is on the wall. The government is going to come after who they can. And the only weapon that you have is taking your Bitcoin off the exchange, putting it into cold storage. That is the most empowering thing you could do, and it hurts them in the process. Anyways, let's check out Twitter. This is Preston Byrne. He says, yield products are securities, because essentially Brian Armstrong, he made this whole thread. He hasn't tweeted in a very long time. He made this whole thread saying, oh, we've been working with the SEC. We've been working with the government, right? That doesn't work. You're taking power away from them. Of course, they're not going to want to work with you. Yield products are securities. They differ in no material respect from an unsecured bond. They just don't use the name. Now, here's the thing, guys. Now, here, I want you to pay attention to the signal, okay? This has much more to do than going after securities or going after something that protects investors. This has nothing to do about protecting investors. This has to do about protecting the banks. And we've been showing you articles about, we showed you a New York Times article, it was like 2 or 3 days ago, how banks were freaking out because, and the Bitcoin and shitcoin industry needed more regulation, right? Because it was approaching too quickly on the banks, right? Again, this isn't about protecting the investor. This is about protecting the bureaucracy and banks themselves. And here's the signal for that. What does securities have to do with the SEC asking for names on the wait list? What does it have to do with anything? Right? It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It has to do with the government could do so they can, right? Anyways, here is a tweet from someone I really don't like. He's a shitcoiner, but I think he has a good perspective. The SEC isn't protecting from 2-Bit Idiot. The SEC isn't protecting investors or promoting fair, efficient, and safe domestic Bitcoin and shitcoin markets with their intimidation tactics. Their approach has been so poor, it's indistinguishable from an active effort to hurt American retail investors, which looks increasingly likely. And look, I don't agree with him much, but I do agree with him here. But here's also the signal, guys, is that Brian Armstrong, right? He had the opportunity. He was a first mover, right? He had the opportunity to solidify his place, right? He did not have to sell shitcoins. And one of the most tragic parts, Phil, and I said it in this original tweet that I took out today because I was so upset when I read his threat. I said Brian Armstrong says nothing of El Salvador, right? Bitcoin gave him the success, but he says nothing about what's happening in El Salvador. Brian Armstrong says nothing of El Salvador, but takes the time to tweet about the SEC suing him for selling securities. This man does not care about the liberation of man. He is an enemy of Bitcoin, right? So listen, Brian Armstrong, you get what you deserve, and the reason you get what you deserve is because you didn't focus on the signal, and the signal is Bitcoin, and in the process, you wrecked tons of people in the process, selling them garbage, and you made yourself look like a fool because I find it absolutely hysterical that MicroStrategy has 100-something thousand Bitcoin and Coinbase only has 4,000, okay? You look like a fool, you're gonna get wrecked, and crying to the government isn't going to save you here. Cypherpunks don't do that. They write code so they don't have to deal with that bullshit. And the only network that could give a middle finger to governments all around the world. We saw this earlier, how Bitcoin survived a nation-state attack from China, right? The hash rate took a tumble, but now it's increasing because of the incentives. The only network that can do that is Bitcoin. Phil?
You know, I was reading about Len today, and I you know, part of me was thinking, I'm kind of shocked that he didn't see that coming. You know, like, I'm like, really? I'm like, you know that they're looking for a reason, right? Like, you know this. You know that they don't like, quote unquote, crypto. You know, I mean, we should just call it shitcoining, because that's all it really is. There is no cryptography, and there's just shitcoining. But you know that they're trying to find their way into shitcoining and destroy it all, which, hey, absolutely. They're going to go after the centralized low-hanging fruit, and that's exactly what these people are. And, I mean, this platform, whatever it is, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, how much liquidity is this stuff really getting, and why does it matter? Like, I understand that they offer yield, but yield for what? It just seems like whitewashing financial activity. Like, no joke, it's like circle jerk financial activity that just goes around in a circle. And to me, the only way that I see that there's more money is that simply more people join in. And that's where they get their new money from, and that's where the yield comes from. I don't see, like, it's not that you're building anything. It's not like all of a sudden you have these these Len tokens, and you're creating something. I don't get it. Like, are people gathering yield because they're taking business loans, or are they building? Like, I don't get it. Anyways, I just think it's a bunch of hocus pocus. I totally think it's a bunch of crap, and I completely agree with you that he got exactly what he deserves, you know? And I'm shocked that he didn't think this was going to happen. Like, well, what did you think? You think they just wouldn't notice you, and now on top of that, you're a publicly traded company? Do you really think they're not going to come after you?
Dude.
Anyways,
he made a deal with the devil, man. And it's like you're developing a technology that's a threat to governments. You better hope that technology can't be touched by governments. You know, he made his bet on, maybe if I get the regulators in bed with me, you know, they won't pay attention and all that, but made the wrong bet. What do you think, Frito? Are we crazy? Are we seeing things that crazy people see?
You guys are still talking about Coinbase, right?
Yes.
So I mean, just like, fuck them. They're total enemies of Bitcoin. They always have been. Back in the day, like, they sold all their customers out, gave all the information to the IRS. You know, they put up like zero fight about that. Then they were pushing Ethereum and Bcash, and they've been running this shitcoin casino. So it's kind of funny that their scams are the low-hanging fruit for the enemies of freedom right now. So, you know, they can battle it out between their two evil sides. But to be honest with you, the reason I had to ask that question is because I haven't really been paying any attention to Coinbase.
don't worry, no one has.
No one has. We're just dunking on them because, man, dude, and he actually, Brian was a supporter. He was a proponent for big blocks, right? He was part of that, man.
Of course he was.
No 2X.
Oh.
Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right. Rise out of the ashes with the Phoenix wallet version 1.4.17. That's a Bitcoin wallet, and the link to that's down below in the show notes.
Baka! I'm a phoenix. I'm rising out of the ashes. No, I'm just kidding. Guys, that was our show. I don't know, bro. You said Phoenix. I thought it would sound funny. Anyways, guys, that was our show. I want to give a shout out to our awesome sponsors. Definitely check out CryptoCloaks.com for the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch. Get yourself a Bitcoin grenade with 5% off down below. Anything on the store. Really cool. And of course, our other sponsor, Citadel 21. Get the Plebs signal. Bitcoin news for plebes, by plebes, awesome stuff. Citadel21.com. Get yourself a copy. There's only 1,000 made. Really cool stuff. Phil and I have both written articles for those guys. Amazing stuff. And of course, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest, Frito. We've been wanting to get Frito for so long, and Phil finally managed to get him. You can go give him a follow at Frito2X on Twitter for some pleb signal. Definitely go check out his Twitter. Guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fails from the mainstream media, the shitcoiners, all of them. There's so many, I can't think of enough words. And the Bitcoin news from the Pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing, and we will see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
We've got
Thanks, man.
spooks everywhere.